Good morning, everyone. I am Caterina Belelli, and with my colleague Maria Giulia, we are going to present a video report on the implementation of PSD2 in different European countries. We participated to 3 roundtables, one on December 3rd, one on December 11th, and one on December 17th. And the context of these 3 roundtables is the 2020 Eumol Winter School held at University of Siena. During the first roundtable, the panelists coming from Croatia, Finland and Estonia, and they were Ivana Parakuvanovic, the director of the Financial and Supervisory Law Department in the Croatian National Bank, Nikita Divisenko, that talked about the Estonian implementation of PSD2, and he is a postdoctoral candidate, and he comes from the Law Department of the European University Institute in Florence, and Giri Terama, that is a postdoctoral candidate, and he comes from the University of Helsinki. During the second roundtable, the panelists coming from Austria and Czech Republic, and they were Martin Miernicki, a research and teaching fellow in the Institute of Business Law at University of Vienna, and Petr Kotrab, an assistant professor in the Faculty of Law in the Charles University in Prague. In the third roundtable, the panelists coming from Greece, Spain and UK, and they were Christos Gorsos, a professor in public economic law, and he comes from the National Kapodristem University of Athens, Fernando Zunzunegui, who is an assistant professor of financial markets law in the Carlos III University of Madrid, and he is also an independent lawyer, and Daniele Dalvia, who is a teaching fellow in the Center for Commercial Law Studies of Queen Mary University of London. The main contents of the lectures were the implementation of PSD2 in these countries and the transposing process of the directive into their legal systems. The roundtables were divided in 2 parts. During the first part, the Professor Gabriela Gimigliano asked the panelists, in which way the PSD1 and PSD2 changed the legal system of these countries. The second part of the roundtables referred to another question posed by the Professor Gabriela Gimigliano that refers to what is missing in PSD2 framework to improve the functioning of the European internal market of payment. In most of the countries analyzed, PSD2 has generated advancement and changes, and in fact, in some countries, the directive has generated some concerns and doubts, while in others there has been a weak impact because of their already developed payment system. For instance, in Czech Republic, PSD2 is considered as an evolution rather than a revolution because the impact has not been so dramatic. And Czech Republic has maintained a conservative approach, not changing what was working well. And in fact, similarly, all Estonian credit institutions have complied well with the implementation. While Croatia has proved to be not completely ready, and in fact there have been issues regarding the strong customer authentication, the protection of customers, and so on. Now I'm trying to create a connection with Maria Giulia. Maria Giulia, are you here?
Yes, Caterina, I'm here. Thank you and good morning, everyone. Now I want to start from one of the 3 main pillars of PSD2, and we want to remind these 3 pillars that are security, competition and innovation as an improvement in respect to PSD1. So we want to start from the first pillar, which is the customer security. So improvements in customer protection and security have been one of the most important purposes of the PSD2, but the higher requirements have created some issues in the implementation of the directive in some member states, such as in Finland, for example. Professor Yuri has highlighted the difficulties in implementing the strong customer authentication because of the northern country tradition of using another type of code to access the different PSPs. Another issue regards the use of information, because payment service providers must provide customers with information on the economic convenience of the different payment services, but they do not receive much information about privacy issues, and so it seemed difficult for them to make their choice on privacy. This idea was showed by Nikita Divisenko, but also shared by Martin Miernicki in the context of Austrian framework. So because of the fact that customer protection is a pillar of the PSD2, the UK, even with the Brexit, as Daniele Dalvia told us, will continue to guarantee protection, maintaining some aspects of these standards. So PSD2, with the introduction of new payment services and with its pro-competitive approach, together with the customer protection, wants also to improve the financial inclusion, with the aim of enable all European citizens to access the payment system. One interesting case regarding the financial inclusion has been showed by Professor Kotap, declaring that in Czech Republic around 5% of the population doesn't want to have access to the payment system because of legal issues. So this was the main ideas regarding the customer protection and the financial inclusion.
For what that concern the PSD2, we know that in PSD2 there is a list called the Annex 1 with all the payment services provided by the payment service providers. In particular, Payment Service Directive 2 has added two more services, Payment Initiation Service and Account Information Service. The value chain of a payment service has been split in order to guarantee the entrance of the Payment Initiation Service and Account Information Service. But there are different opinions on them. And in fact, Ivana is asking why account information services are considered to be a payment service provider, because they do not hold funds. Also, the primary users of AE are banks and not customers, while in Croatia there are not many payment institutions. Another point of view is one of Nikita, and in fact in Estonia these services were already existing because of the advancement in fintech, and their definition by the PSD2 has caused the necessity of an authorization to making them payment service providers. In Greece, payment institutions, payment initiation services, and account information services are considered one of the biggest novelty of PSD2, and according to the Christos, it is important not only to consider the list of payment services but also the exemptions. He have raised doubts about the exemption and which of them will be still considered as exemption in the almost certain framework of PSD3.
The last pillar that we want to highlight is the innovation that the PSD2 has brought to the European framework for payments. So now we will focus on the innovative aspects within the member states. Professor Zunzunegui refers to the idea of the open banking in Spain. So he told that market is now open and banks do not have the monopoly anymore. So big tech firms have entered this type of market, creating disruptive platforms for payments, and banks, as a response, let's say, are redesigning themselves to respond to these changes. These innovations are possible thanks to one important principle of the PSD2, reminded by Daniele Dalvia, that is the technical neutrality, because according to this principle, the complete system is allowed to create new structures for payments. An example also of innovation is represented by the Estonian situation, in which fintech companies are bringing important developments to the payment system. So a long-term vision related always to the idea of innovation in the field of payments is related to the emergence of the blockchain technology. So, as a conclusion, we have tried to touch the most important features and elements of what the panelists has told us. And so we have also created comparisons between the ideas of the speakers from different countries on the implementation of the PSD2, because our aim is to eliminate fragmentations among these member states, focusing on the crucial themes like also the PSD2 wants to eliminate the obstacle and fragmentation in the free market for payments. So we want to thank you everyone for the participation to the roundtable and for the for giving us the possibility to participate. Thank you all.